see here? I mean, nothing that you can see just yet. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the official, what month is it? September 2020 baking stream. I was just in the process of making some tea. Don't mind me. Holding both of these items was largely unnecessary, and I shouldn't have done it, and now it's getting heavy. I'm going to put that down. This is my large teapot, because I figured I would make a couple cups. Usually I have some black tea in the afternoon. Today I have just like an orange Picot from Harney. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like to brew it pretty strong. Okay, so that's going to need like 4 minutes, say, something like that. And then I want to put the lid on it, and I want my water. Yeah, there we go. A wonderful teapot. Why, thank you. I don't like to collect duplicates of too many items in my life because I don't want a lot of clutter, but I do have 3 teapots. That's the big teapot, and then we have the bamboo handle teapot. Oh, goodness. Bamboo handle teapot is for unflavored teas when we're doing like a nicer dinner at the table, or just if I need one to bring to my desk. This is also kind of like a raid night teapot. I would make a pot of green tea and bring it with me to raid night. And then this guy is the all-purpose workhorse for everything and anything else because it's just so gosh darn useful. New PC came in today, ready for Shadowlands. Congrats. Which teapot is your favorite? Well, they each have their place. It's like asking me whether I like socks or pants, you know? Sometimes you need one and not the other, and sometimes you need the other but not the first one. Depends on the weather. Let's see, here we had Swap Peanuts with a 2-month reset. Just hoping to get an Xbox next week, not looking good for GPU or PS5. I saw that. Tough times to be a gamer that wants to get gaming with new equipment anyways. Celtic Viking with a 3-month reset. Happy 3 months. Here's to many more. Cheers. Errant Ronan with a brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. And in X's Van with a 3-month reset. Cheers. Thank you very much, guys. So, let me give you the lowdown on what we're making. September is a birthday month around here. It is a birthday. I had mine a while ago. Mr. Nutty also had his already. So both of our birthdays are over, but we're out of ice cream cake now, so it's time to make another cake. I decided that we were going to do, and by I decided I mean the people that voted on the Patreon poll, this thing from the World of Warcraft cookbook. I've had this cookbook for years. I've been doing baking streams for years. I have never done this one because it has too much stuff. It has like a whole additional... Oh, this is not how you should hold a book. It has like another page with additional ingredients and even more going on. It describes itself in the description as a bit tricky to make, and as soon as the cookbook starts telling you that, you know to just get out of there. So I have not done this one yet, but you know, today is the day. Better late than never. The very first thing that it says is begin by making the frosting, which needs to chill for 4 hours. And luckily enough, I remembered that, and I started that out. So what they wanted me to do, and I did this morning before I started the stream, 4 hours ago or so, I had white chocolate in a medium bowl. I heated some heavy cream on the stove, poured it over the white chocolate, stirred it until it all mostly melted, although there were still some kind of particulates floating around because, I don't know, they didn't want to melt. And then chilled it in the fridge. So that's happened already. That is in the fridge ready to go. Our next step is to get the cakes made, and then so that they can cool before we like fill and frost them and stuff. The design of this cake, it says chocolate cake. It's actually a white chocolate cake. The cake itself is like a white chocolate cake, and there's white chocolate in the cream for the frosting. If it looks messy, it's supposed to look like that because the actual icon, you can see kind of top left there, that is the WoW icon for the Northrend food item Delicious Chocolate Cake, which is crafted using things like milk and eggs and mage royal. This recipe wanted me to use rose water as a substitute for mage royal, and I just didn't get any. I tried. I went to a few stores that I thought might have it, and they didn't have any, and at this point, anything I didn't already have to make this cake, I'm just never going to get. I'm also very low on vanilla, and that's just too bad, and also I don't have any buttermilk. Also too bad, although I have heard that you're able to substitute buttermilk by adding an acid, either a vinegar or just lemon juice, to regular milk to kind of curdle it and bring that acidity, so that's what I'm going to try. I'm probably going to start by mixing that up first, just so it has a couple minutes to curdle before I need to add it to the cake, and then we'll start getting our cake ingredients together so that we can get this thing baked. It is warm as Shalazar Basin in here. It is steamy, it is warm, it is humid. We cannot open the windows because the air still sucks outside, so we're just going to cook. That's fine. Wouldn't it be nice to have like a little thing? I don't cook out of cookbooks very often. Otherwise, I would just get like one of those holders that you like prop books up on. I suppose I can just kind of like lean it against the wall here. Okay, that beeper, that timer, was my tea. So I'm going to take that out and then forget that I made tea. And then in an hour, I'll be like, oh, didn't I make tea? And then I'll pour some. So I'm going to start by taking 1 cup of milk, because this is going to call for 1 cup of buttermilk. And what I was reading online is that I just want to take 1 cup of milk and about a tablespoon of lemon juice, stir them together, and just let them sit for a bit. Oh, I'm looking for this. This is raspberries. They were frozen, and I wanted to thaw them. It said frozen or fresh, so I figured I would meet them in the middle by just taking them out of the freezer early. But I need that, so I need to use a different thing to prepare my buttermilk. Like I said, I don't have duplicates of very many dishes. I have a 1 cup measure, so maybe I'll just do this in like a small bowl, like the smallest possible bowl size, and that should do it. All right. Mikey Mike with a 14-month resub. Appreciate it. Forgot I had Twitch running in the background. I was so confused when the music started playing. And glad to see you gaming with Lerna with a 14-month resub. Thank you very much. Okay, 1 cup of milk, 1 tablespoon or so of lemon juice. Do I have lemon juice? I mean, worst case scenario, I do have vinegar. I do have lemon juice. Okay. There's something that just feels a little bit unbakerly about just sinking straight vinegar into milk to go into cake. I'm sure it would do it. It has something to do with the way that it interacts, the way the acidity interacts with the baking powder and the baking soda. But I am not chemically inclined enough to understand what's going on there. I just know I need to add some acid here. Sometimes you don't need to know why things work. You just gotta know what to do. It's me with the Jennifer secret. I still don't fully understand how it works. It has something to do with music on a staff and something to do with the way all the food was laid out. And I'm glad somebody figured it out because I was not about to. Am I going to post this on YouTube? I'm going to try. That is the plan. It should, as long as I don't forget or get distracted or somehow else get thwarted by myself, it should go up on Sundays when I like to post stream VODs. So, getting like a tablespoon of this together. And then we're going to throw that in there, give it a little stir. And I'm told it should start to curdle and get kind of like thick or chunky, and that I should not be alarmed by such actions. It doesn't sound good, but I don't have to drink it, I just have to put it in my cake. My hazelnut vinegar tea in about 20 minutes. I mostly just wanted to get the buttermilk started, and I'm going to preheat the oven, and then I can pour us some cups of tea. I already got the mugs out. Let's see here. Oh, I put the milk away. I'm going to need the milk again. So, what did you guys think of the last Afterlives video? Afterlives Revendreth came out this morning. If you haven't watched it yet, it is out on YouTube. And it is different than what I thought. I figured that it was going to be a little more, like, strong orchestral music and, you know, big, dramatic, you know, minor key, big long zooms, big landscapes. And there were landscapes and stuff, but the whole tone of it, like the concept that they chose to use for it, I thought was refreshing and also delightful. But it did not sell me on the concept of, it did not sell me on going Venthyr. I think that after having seen the 4 Afterlives, I'm still most inclined towards the Kyrians and Bastion based on their story, because I like the kind of culty mind wipe thing, and it seems good. You know, blue's a good color. Raven Cell, thank you very much for the 2-month resub. Appreciate it. And Aaron back with a gift sub. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see here. Get the tea done. And then we're going to start weighing and measuring. I already got my scale out. I'm probably not going to weigh everything, although after my salty bread debacle, maybe I should. But I will at the very least weigh the flour. I'm going to deliver the larger cup of tea and then keep the smaller one for myself because I have access to the teapot. There we go. The rad leggings. I was gonna correct you and be like, excuse me, these are purple, but yeah. They're Kieran Tor, I think. I was just kind of feeling a purple vibe. The Twitch shirt had like some purple, and the leggings had some purple. And I was like, you know what? We need purple lipstick. I noticed your YouTube videos are less frequent and very short. Are you planning to do a full transition to Twitch and stream longer? No, I'm not. No, I think the way I'm doing things now works for me. Ideally, I get more YouTube videos out, although I don't think they need to be longer unless they need to be longer. I believe that, you know, especially if it's like a guide or an information thing that, you know, you spit out what people came for and then you let them go about their day. So, but yeah, more often would be great. Ideally like 2 or 3 a week, because I am doing 1 a week. You know, I haven't completely given up on the news videos. I don't see a good reason to quit those, and I don't think that even if I did completely quit YouTube, I don't think I would be a good 6-hour-a-day streamer. I just run out of stuff to say. Okay, I am making a cake. I've been told it's a piece of cake, and I think that's a lie. They want me to melt white chocolate in hot water in a small saucepan to start. So I have 4 ounces. I've already measured the amount. I did some uncharacteristically high amounts of prep work today before I started this. I just wanted to make sure I knew I didn't have everything, so I wanted to make sure I at least had a plan for the things that I did not have. So they want me to actually melt this in a half a cup of hot water. And you know, I didn't plan this out. It's kind of coincidence, but I bet you I have a half a cup of hot water. How much are you? You're not very much. However, this is still kind of hot, so I bet if I just add a little more water to there, right up to that minimum line, I can use the kettle to kind of heat that up nice and quick so that, I mean, I guess I could also heat the water on the stove. It's going to be in a saucepan, whatever, it's fine. Thanks for the Jennifer guide, made it real comfy to get here. Cheers! Aren't many things to make videos about in BFA. Hazel doesn't really make beta PTR videos. I don't know if I agree with either of those things. I think this is less about what I do and more about, what am I trying to say? I am inadequate and I have many failings and I don't do as many things as I want to, but that doesn't mean I'm willing to write them off forever anyways. Ideally, I had lots more BFA topics that I just didn't get through in time, and then it got time to make PTR and beta videos, and I have made some of those. You know? It's not like I haven't done anything. It's just not as many, and then people go, wow, Hazel, you quit, and I'm like, I'm still here. Is this a raid in the kitchen? Got the pet Jennifer today. Thanks for the video. Appreciate what you do. Thanks, Genocide. You got a cute little matching name too. I have that same electric kettle. It's fantastic. If it broke today, I would get another one tomorrow. And I appreciate that it hasn't broken because I got this probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and I use it, no lie, like 4 or 5, sometimes 6 times a day. I drink an inordinate amount of tea. I think the deal is that I realize that whenever I sit down at my desk to do something, you know, to do some emails, or, and by do I mean delete, or to do some video stuff or some writing or whatever, no matter what I'm sitting down to do, unless it's literally recording, I always sit down with a pot of tea. It's kind of like a prerequisite. If I just go sit down at my desk with a bottle of water, I'm like, what am I doing? What is this? So I end up doing multiple different types throughout the day. So I should start measuring my dry ingredients. Okay, because what we're going to do, we're going to get the chocolate melted in the water and set that aside to cool. In a separate large bowl, we're going to cream together butter and sugar. I'm going to do that in the stand mixer. Mix eggs and vanilla into the stand mixer thing, and then alternate dry ingredients with buttermilk. So I need to right now be prepping my dry ingredients by measuring them into a nice big bowl. So I'm going to start with large mixing bowl. And I'm going to start with flour because I feel like that's what I'm going to weigh. Everything else I can fairly accurately, reasonably accurately measure with spoons. So I'm going to change this to grams and then add my bowl and then zero that out. So they want me to use 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. If I remember correctly, a cup of all-purpose flour is about 120-ish grams. So let's say 240 plus another 60 makes 300 grams. And I'm going to use my phone to double-check my math because I don't trust myself to make this cake by brain power. It's just not happening. 120. I mean, it's fairly standard math, yeah. Okay, 300 grams. Sounds good. Problem solved. So, thank you very much for the 12-month resub. Scarlet Blaze with a 3-month resub. First of all, happy 1 year, Sewell. Scarlet Blaze said, love you, Hazel. Been watching you since the beginning on YouTube. You're the best. Thank you. Champagne Taste had a 2-month resub and said hello. Hello. AK Richie or Acrichy with a 5-month resub. Appreciate it. Spooky Snacks with a 7-month resub. 7 months. How fun. Happy birthday to you and Mr. Nutty. Shea Bear had a 3-month resub. Thank you. And Diamond Dust with a brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. And look at that. You guys started a hype train. I am going to get my half cup, which is not one of these ones. I've memorized that the third cup is blue because I use the third cup for everything. The half cup is pink, and I don't use it very often. It's just a little bit too much. Most of what I use my cup measures for is making my oats in the morning, and I just, you know, I ate a third cup of oats. What do you do? All right, so there's half a cup of hot water, and then I'm going to add in my white chocolate, melt that together, and then set it aside to cool. Although, based on my experience this morning of melting together white chocolate into cream, this is going to be less pleasant than it sounds. Surprisingly difficult to get the whole thing to melt together well. Lux, thank you very much for the bits. Choo choo cake hype. Also, it looks hideous. It looks horrendous while it's in the process of melting. Nothing like watery chocolate, am I right? Diamond, let's see, I saw that one already. Hazel, how's your day? Hope it is and continues to be great. 3rd time's the charm, don't have any more channel points. Hello, my day's going pretty well. How are you? I always laugh when a recipe asks me to add a cup/tablespoon of butter, and I'm like, how do you expect me to measure that with a cup or a spoon? A cup/tablespoon? I mean, usually it's one or the other. I think maybe I misunderstand. The fact that I would have to recalculate all recipes to metric makes me not want to buy the book, otherwise I'd buy it. Yeah, I do wish that you got metric measurements. Just because it makes things easier to weigh. Like a cup and a tablespoon, they're fairly standard around here and they're fairly easy to get hold of. It's just that for measuring something particularly compactable like flour or brown sugar, you're going to get wildly different quantities each time that you do it. Acrichy with the 10 gift subs, thank you very, very, very much. Congrats to those who got one. That's super cool of you. Thank you. Also, Random Red Shirt with the bits. Yay, baking. That is what we're getting to anyways. All right, I'm going to call that good. It's not perfect, but I'm bored, so I'm going to put that down. And start spooning flour in until I get my 300 grams. If you're like, why is your flour in Korean? It's because the last place I bought flour was the Asian grocery store. And I wasn't sure if they were going to have it, but they had it. And it seems to be the same stuff. I don't see why it would be different. Oh no, it turned off. So I'm going for 300 grams of this. Make sure that I get this done correctly. All right, and I used to think that weighing stuff like this was too much of a pain in the butt, but it's actually kind of easier because you don't really need to mess with the scoops. You can just kind of like wiggle until you have an approximate amount. And you just like take a spoon and either like spoon a little out or spoon a little in. And you got there more accurately than usually I was using at least a knife to help level off my quantities. So this is really using less dishes when you involve the scale. It's not nearly as hard as I thought it was. The trickiest part is just knowing the conversions for stuff, because most recipes that I'm working with do not give me quantities in grams, so you have to learn a couple of the conversions. Okay, so that's flour. We're also going to need baking soda, baking powder, and salt. I have those out here already. My poor bottle of vanilla is basically empty. This is going to be mostly a nice thought. I did get the wine, though. For the filling later, this cake, basically we're looking at a white chocolate cake with white chocolate cream frosting. Not really frosting, mostly just whipped cream that has white chocolate in it. And then in the middle, in between the 2 layers of cake, it's got like this raspberry, flowery, you know, assuming that you had the rose water, raspberry, rose, wine flavored filling in the middle of it, which sounds pretty neat. Mathemagicia, thank you very much for the brandy sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. I thought you said you needed to melt chocolate over water. Usually you do. This specifically says melt the white chocolate in the hot water. And the recipe itself calls for a half a cup of hot water. Usually you are melting chocolate over water in like a double boiler situation, but I don't think it would have told me melt chocolate in water. It would have said over water. And if it had done that, it probably wouldn't have been as specific with the water. So this is baking soda. We're going for a single teaspoon. I made sure to pull my stool up because I feel like I might get a little more out of breath than usual. I usually get a little winded doing baking streams. Something about just standing and talking continuously just wipes me. But right now I'm both a little out of shape because I haven't been able to exercise because of the air quality. And also the air quality means that our air is a little stuffy in here. It's a little stale. So I have a stool, should we need it. I'm going in for the baking powder now. It wants a half a teaspoon of this and then a half a teaspoon of salt. So, am I opening a new one? I guess I am. I feel like I remember finishing one recently. Resto Wolf, thanks for the 15-month resub. Haven't been able to be around lately due to RL. But you are wonderful. I'm glad I could make the baking stream. Glad to have you here. My asthmatic butt feels that. Yeah, I'm just taking it slow, and I feel like one day I'll be able to exercise again, and I'll take it slow when we get there. I'm just trying to not worry about it too much. There were updates to the Apple WatchOS and iOS and tvOS today, and they've got like some new fitness features that I'm kind of excited about. Like I set up my phone's home screen and I put like a little fitness widget on the front screen so I can see like where I'm at for my move goal and my calories and whatever. And then I realized, wow, this is just a place where it can tell me how lazy I'm being by staying inside when I know that right now that is the right thing to be doing. But eventually, when I get back out there, then I'll get some good data. Okay, don't think I've ever finished a container of baking powder. Well, these ones are huge. I don't remember what kind of containers of baking powder we used to get, but this is 230 grams of it. This is 8 ounces of baking powder. This is like a standard off-the-shelf unit around here. I could have sworn that in Canada they were smaller. Maybe I'm just misremembering. All right, so a half a teaspoon of salt, and that's our dry ingredient. So I'm going to put some stuff away, very satisfying. Here, I'll even close the drawer. Get that all mixed together, and then review my next steps. My oven mitt fell off. Oh, that's my dish towel. Dish towel. True, did fall though. I got clean towels. Actually, cleaned the floor too. I cleaned a lot of stuff. I've been in a very cleaning mood lately. I've been finding the act of cleaning very satisfying. I think it has something to do with feeling in control of something. I have discovered that there is no greater joy to me right now than taking a nice, clean, damp cloth and wiping down a dusty or a dirty surface, and then having it be all like shiny and stuff again. Hey, Math the Magician with the 5 gift subs. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Best way to soften butter if you just took it out of the fridge. I would start by cautioning people to not take advice from me because I'm the biggest amateur, but the way I do it is if I had forgotten to take it out ahead of time, I usually put it in the microwave. I'll like unwrap it, set it on a plate, and put it in the microwave for very short amounts of time. So like 5 seconds at a time, and then as soon as it starts to look a little saggy, then I'll take it out and consider it done. That's always worked well enough for me, but I've always been a kind of, well, that's good enough baker. If you're going for perfection, then you probably won't be satisfied. Okay. It wanted me to prep 2 8-inch round cake pans by greasing them and lining the bottoms with parchment paper. I've done the parchment paper thing. I didn't grease them yet, but that's easy enough. I'm going to use this coconut oil one. I like that one. So, just to make quadruple sure that our cake's not going to stick. Okay, and this is my white chocolate water mixture. And then I'm going to start creaming together my butter, sugar, eggs, vanilla. So we're basically making our cake batter now. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw both of those pans onto a bigger tray just to make them easier to handle and put in the oven. And then I'm going to move some stuff around and make some room to start getting this cake batter together. I have this big honkin', this is my bread machine. I don't know where to put it. I didn't really know when I got it, and I still don't know now. I've been using it often enough to kind of justify having it out all the time. But it is kind of in the way a little bit during times like this. So you can just scoosh there-ish, I suppose. The dream one day is to have a kitchen with, like, storage that can accommodate these things. But, you know, the smart thing to do probably would have been to just make a bread normally without a machine. But the machine's just been so delightful. Okay, so I'm going to use, I'm creaming butter, but eggs are going to get beaten into it later. I'm going to use the paddle. I feel like the whisk is very, very rarely needed. Later on in the stream, we're going to be whipping cream. And for that, I think I'm probably just going to use wire whisk, hand mixer, and a bowl. Because while this thing can whip cream, it takes it like 10 minutes. And especially if it's a very small amount of cream, and that's just no good. So we're going to start with, this is going to be 1 cup of butter and 1.5 cups of white sugar. So let me get my butter in the bowl first, and then I'll go dig up my white sugar. I need to restrain my urge to just stand around and chit-chat until after I have, at the very least, the cake in the oven. The cake is going to need to bake for a while. It bakes for half an hour, and then it's going to need to cool before I can start to ice it. And I would like to get the whole thing like together on this stream would be great. So I need to just like motor. All right, 1.5 cups of sugar. Make sure this is nice and dry. And make sure, did I put my sugar away? I wasn't done with it. I wasn't done. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And I think I more or less have things measured out, so we should be good to get this rolling. So there's 1/2 cup. It's gonna be a very sweet cake, but you know, it's cake, it's supposed to be. Nobody's eating it for their health. And 1.5 cup, good. Roll that on up. Oh, I need the eggs. Oh, I should have taken the eggs out of the fridge earlier. I feel like usually you want to do that. Need a cover like that for my mixer? Yeah, growing up, my parents had a KitchenAid, and my mom like hand sewed a cover like that, like a dust cover, out of some like old pajamas or something that nobody was using anymore. And I just remembered that she had it, and I figured it would be nice to just keep it, I guess undusty is the idea. I use it often enough, but it also just makes it look kind of nice on the counter. So the butter and the sugar is actually mixed quite nicely. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to mix in the eggs and the vanilla, and then alternate dry ingredients with buttermilk, finally folding in the white chocolate. So starting with the eggs. These eggs are not bad eggs, they're just kind of boring eggs. I have one specific type of eggs that we get around here that are like actually free range, and you can tell because they taste and look like free range eggs. That is the one thing that I learned when I grew up with chickens, is what an actual fresh free range egg tastes like, as opposed to the ones that just say they are. Oh, that one's just stuck. But for baking, they should do the trick. I never use eggs until I do, and then I'm like, wow, how old are the eggs that I have? But I think I got these ones pretty recently. I definitely got them like the same time as the flour. This is why people don't use plastic egg cartons. It's a bad idea, and I don't approve. I need one more egg. All right, I got one out. That last one is just doomed. I don't need it, though. I only need 3 eggs. Okay. Tricks Tracks, thank you very much for the 5-month resub. Hope you're doing well. Take a resub. Thank you. I'm doing pretty good. I'm in a pretty good mood. Let's get those rolling. I'm looking forward to the cake, actually. I've been procrastinating trying this recipe for a long time. It always looked very good, but it just looked like too much work, too many different ingredients. And I'm glad that the day finally came. So they wanted vanilla. It's asking for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just going to put the rest of this in because it's definitely less than 2 teaspoons. It's mostly just like a smattering. Just throw that in, call it good. And then eggs, vanilla, and then we're going to alternate dry ingredients with buttermilk, which in my case is just milk with lemon juice, but it did definitely curdle. You're going to be unable to see it very well, but it kind of looks like, you know how miso soup has like the suspended miso within the soup column, the soup liquid? This is kind of a similar idea, so I think that's what we're looking for. Okay, this is my white chocolate mixture. This is, so we're gonna go, let's see, dry ingredients. I'm not gonna do this in too many different additions because that sounds like too much work. And you know, it's all getting mixed together anyways. I'm sure as long as it's enough. Okay, we'll do a little bit of the buttermilk stuff. You know what I have that I was considering downsizing is I have a full set of differently sized funnels. And I almost never use them, and I feel like I could probably take it down to just one funnel. I feel like while I occasionally use different funnels, I rarely need multiple funnel sizes. They're all almost the same size anyways. But there's just like no convenient place to put them. They end up, they're just kind of like clanging around inside of my 11 by 17 Pyrex dish. And then whenever I go for something in the back of that cupboard, it just gets very, very loud. baking stream on my work week Friday. What a lovely way to wind down for the week. I didn't know you could make buttermilk just by adding lemon to milk. I don't think it's technically buttermilk, but I was reading, and we'll find out if this works. I should say I've never tried this before, but I was reading that it will function similarly in baking, which I think usually is what we're using buttermilk for. I don't know of anybody that just like drinks it on its own voluntarily for fun. 2 funnels, 1 larger, 1 smaller. I'll show you the funnels in question. They also kind of have like a seam. They're steel funnels, but they have a bit of a seam connecting the tube to the funnel bit, I suppose you could say. And sometimes it makes stuff get kind of caught in them. Oh, that looks lovely. Okay, I'm happy with that. I now need to fold in this, which is good because I wanted to use this spatula anyways. Finally fold in the melted chocolate. So I'm gonna take this down, scrape the edges nicely because there's like a lot of, I haven't done that yet. Oh, it looks really nice. Can I get my, let's see here, I didn't think of this yet. I have an extra webcam down here, but it both feels disturbingly warm and also I don't have an easy way to activate it. I'll just show you when I'm getting up. I think I'm gonna mix in the white chocolate with just my hands. Well, not my hands, but like by hand with the spatula is, I think, my new plan. So I'm just going to take this bad boy out of here. Get it like a spoon to scrape this off. Something like that. Excellent. Okay. It has a very lovely looking texture already. So this is like a like a really smooth kind of creamy white cake batter. It doesn't even have the chocolate in it yet. I need to fold this in. I'm gonna just kind of slowly pour while stirring, and then get that the rest of the way in there. And then I'm just gonna kind of do some folding action, I think, is the way to go here. Do your leggings have plate armor print? Yeah, kind of. They're Kirin Tor leggings. I know there's a lot of glare back there. One of the earlier set of Wild Bangarang ones that I got. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to keep them because, while they're comfortable enough, they're not so comfortable that I like go out of my way to wear them. Like if nobody was looking, I probably wouldn't wear them. I would probably go for cotton leggings instead. And I didn't really have room in my redone dresser for them, but I made a little spot in the closet. I'm glad I did. Okay, eat the batter, eat the batter. So 99 times out of 100, I would do that. It's just that usually I'm very nonchalant about the possibility of myself getting, salmonella or E. coli or whatever from like the flour or the eggs. Oh, this won't work. Those won't fit. Oh well, I'll just eat them normally. It's just that right now feels like a double bad time to be getting sick. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. It wanted me to use 8-inch cake pans, and I do have only 9-inch cake pans. They'll just be a little wider, a little flatter, and I'm probably going to bake them for a few minutes less. I'll keep an eye on the baking time and be checking them towards the end of it so I don't burn them. I have 4 9-inch circular cake pans and no 8 inches. And usually I don't think I want the extra diameter. I think I would prefer the extra height, but what do you do at this point? I don't want to buy more cake pans. I've already bought too many cake pans. I used to be so enamored with the idea of stacked layer cakes. Like, cake growing up was usually box mix cake, and it was usually made flat in like a big rectangle, kind of like an office party thing. And it wasn't bad, it was delightful, but it was also, you would like draw cartoon cakes and you would make them pink and you would add like lace and extra icing decorations to your drawing cakes. And those ones were always layer cakes. Like all the princess cakes were layer cakes. All right, so get some air bubbles out of those. They look pretty even. This is what we're looking like right now. You guys can see nothing because of the glare from the overhead light. I feel like when I one day move, I'm gonna end up in a place that has an objectively less nice kitchen than this, because I feel like as a renter, the kitchen's just kind of nice. Like they're just trying to get people to come live here by making the kitchen nice. So let's say 25, and we'll check it then. But if I can help it, the lighting will be better. This place is awkward in that there is a big overhead light that just has too much glare, and I can't really diffuse it because of the shape of it. But then when I turn it off, the lighting works much nicer, and I can front light it, but then the kitchen is just like eminently dark, and it's just not worth it. So you just kind of live, deal. It's all fine. Goth kitchen. I don't actually mind. I don't really mind streaming like that, but it does look a little bit odd and it invites a lot of questions, such as, why are you cooking in the dark? It's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just role playing, being 13 and wanting to make cookies, but not wanting my parents to find out. Don't forget your tea. This is true. This is true. Go all dark. Do some under cabinet lighting. I have been wondering how, like many people that are fantasizing about moving house, I spend a non-zero amount of time browsing websites that have public house listings and looking through the photos of them. This is a orange Picot tea. And a lot of these houses are like beautiful houses, everything I'm looking for, but their cabinets are really ugly. And I'm like, well, if I moved into that place, what do I do? You know, I just moved. I probably don't have thousands of dollars to get somebody to like make new cabinets. Do I just paint them? Do I just learn to live? Do I deal? Like, do I redo the handles? There's just like a lot of, they're like natural wood, but they're done in a very dated way, and like a very warm kind of red wood that just kind of screams, I don't know. It's just not what I'm looking for, but I also don't know if painted cabinets are the way to go either. I want to eat Bunt, the oversized cake from Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars made by Chef Tort. I have not seen that, but now I kind of want to. Get the renovation costs added to the mortgage. I don't even know how people go about renovating stuff. Like, you have to... I am still stuck in the mindset of if I want to do something, I need to have it done myself, which conflicts with I don't know how to do a lot of things. So obviously for most things you hire professionals. But the process of doing that when it is just like a free market, you know, with people that you are trusting to let into your home and like mess with your flooring and stuff, it's just a scary thing to want to dive into. I know some people will change their doors and their cabinets, but I've never seen it done myself. I would like to be more handy. Maybe I'll pick up woodworking and learn how to make things like cabinet doors and then do them myself, because I did want to learn enough woodworking to be able to make my own aquarium stands that are made of not particle board, basically. Most of the commercially available aquarium stands that you would find at like a Petco or a PetSmart or whatever are particle board, kind of like, well, you know, particle board. And they're fine, they can hold the aquarium, but the problem is that as soon as they get the slightest bit wet, they bloat and become less structurally stable. And the last thing that you want the thing your 1,000-pound glass box of living life in standing on top of is something that's kind of just like getting soggy and falling apart. So, and you don't have a lot of needs for an aquarium stand. You just need it to be level, you need it to be sturdy, you need it to be able to support a certain amount of weight, but like it doesn't have to be that fancy. So I feel like that would be a good thing to learn how to do if I ever had like a little workspace, like a garage where I could set up like a tool bench or something like that. It seems over my head right now, but you know, everything is over your head until you poke your head up there and see what's going on. Particle board stands look scary. Yeah. I just wish that better things were more readily available. Superman, thank you very much for the 6-month resub. 6 whole months of wonderful Twitch time. Thanks, Bunches. Here's to many more. Aw, thanks. We also had Monster Mama Bear stopping by with a 10-month resub. Send a slice of that my way. And Zoned Wow with a 2-month resub. Thank you very much. Do you need to let the cake fully cool, or can it be partially warm? The idea of warm chocolate cake sounds awesome. I'm going to need to let it cool pretty darn far, because we're going to be frosting it with basically whipped cream, which melts at an even lower point than buttercream does. And I'm not really sure how that's going to work, because it is probably at least 82 in here, and I'm running the AC, and it's not getting any cooler. The best dessert to eat for breakfast? Pie. It contains fruit, and that makes it count. I made my own bedside table, very sturdy, until a bit of weight hit it wrong. Oh no. We're redoing our floors right now. It's a lot harder than I expected. Yeah, I know that I don't think I would try to do renovations all by myself, because while I can be, you know, overconfident along with the next person, I also know that having an unfinished project drives me nuts. Growing up, we always had half-finished renovations, just living in partially done states for months, and I hated nothing more. Like, I just want the thing to be done so that you can move on and close that little chapter of your brain. So I would rather have somebody do it within a prescribed time frame than I would probably get started and be feeling real good, and I'd pry all my floor up, and then I would find something, and I'd go, oh, wait, I can't finish this, and then never finish it. That'll do. Let's review our next steps, shall we? Yeah, so it says that after the cake has been baked, until a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. We have toothpicks, we can do that. Lumen, thanks for the 2-month resub. Neil at Large with a 14-month resub. Don't make many streams, but I always try to remember to use my Twitch Prime to resub. I sincerely appreciate that. It makes a difference. Thank you. And Mailarana with a 14-month resub. Did someone say delicious chocolate cake? Today's the day. This is like one of the only 2-pager recipes in this book. There's not very many of them. Okay. So that's going to bake for another like 20 minutes or so. We're going to get a toothpick to come out of it clean. We're going to let them cool in the pans about 10 minutes and then put them onto cooling racks and then leave them to cool completely while we finish preparing the frosting and filling. So the rest of the frosting, we're basically going to be whipping the chocolate cream mixture that I have in my fridge already with an electric mixer for several minutes until fluffy, and then in a separate bowl whip the other cup of cream. So I guess I'm going to use my stand mixer for one of them, probably the one that has the chocolate in it, and then whip the rest of the cream in a hand bowl. I don't think I have quite enough cream, to be honest with you. It called for 2 cups, and I think I didn't have quite that much, so we might be a little light on cream. But honestly, the original icon for the delicious chocolate cake kind of looks like a naked cake, doesn't it? You know, you can see the topping and you can see the filling, but it doesn't look like it is completely frosted down the sides. So I think I might be able to get away with less around the sides frosting just by I don't know, scraping it. I don't have any Horde merch. I am for the Alliance myself. Moved into a new apartment. Holy smokes, was it taxing to my mental health to get everything in the right order. Let's see. Put it in the fridge once it hits room temperature. Make the cake and then put it into the bread maker for chocolate cake bread. Does that cookbook have anything a bit odd given that it's WoW? I mean, like what? What do you mean? Most of them they're all WoW themed. There's been an effort to make all of them WoW themed. We got Brewfest pretzels, we got Dragon Breath chili, we've got Yuping soup from Pandaria. Most of them are based off of in-game items, or at least in-game zones or races. And then there's like a little note that kind of puts it in context of what you're supposed to associate it with. Some of them are a bit of a stretch. We have a goblin shortbread, and I don't know if goblin shortbread was represented in-game. It said that these simple shortbread cookies always remind goblins of their own home, and they're basically shortbread with pistachios and a little bit of nutmeg and lime zest. Don't tell anyone, but I have Horde socks. That's the lovely thing about socks, is that unless you specifically decide to reveal them to somebody, they're your little secret. Or unless you are traveling through airport security, and then they're not your secret anymore. Kind of really would like that cookbook. They have them online. They have them. I would do Amazon over the gear store because I think you're more likely to get it shipped in time, and usually they're a little cheaper on Amazon. But it's got like all kinds of recipes. The Mulgore spice bread is one of my favorites. I kind of want to make it. I was thinking about making bread actually while I was working on the cake, just because I'm out of bread currently, and we can't have that, right? For the Alliance is an established saying. It is. I do agree that for the Alliance is harder to pull off than for the Horde. It's the triple syllable. It's the triple syllable that starts on a vowel. And also, historically, Alliance players are a little bit more... Historically, what am I trying to say? At BlizzCon, you know, when you meet people, and they're talking with their factions, some people say, I play the Horde, and they're very into it. And some people say, oh yeah, I play Alliance, and they're not into it, but they're very... they're very relaxed about the subject. They're not too emotionally invested. Some people are, but, you know, if we're averaging out, you know, they always do like a For the Horde and For the Alliance yell at the beginning of BlizzCons, or they used to back when BlizzCons happened, and the Horde one was vastly louder. We can borrow the Avengers line for Alliance? What do the Avengers say? Love your WoW content, wanted to hop on and wish you a good stream. Thanks, Mark. Okay, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I was thinking about making bread. So if I do the Mulgore spice bread, this one wants warm milk, spices, melted butter, flour. Could do that. Also, I'm trying to use up the rest of my whole wheat flour. I bought whole wheat flour back when back when the shelf shortages of early quarantine were really bad, and it was impossible to get flour because everybody and their grandfather wanted to get into making sourdough bread. So I bought some whole wheat flour at that time because it was the only one on the shelf. There was one bag of flour on the shelf, and it was whole wheat, and I'm like, I guess I'm making whole wheat cookies. And now that flour availability has largely recovered, at least where I am, I want to finish using the whole wheat flour so that I can clean it out of my container and replace it with regular all-purpose flour, and then maybe get a separate container for my bread flour. I found that whole wheat flour makes some things nice and like kind of nutty, a little bit more filling. It actually makes great chocolate chip cookies. Not too bad in waffles, but sometimes you're just not looking for whole wheat flour. Did you see the last WoW short? I did. I also love sourdough bread. You know what I actually want to learn how to make is, I would love to make ciabatta rolls. We get these ciabatta buns from the store. They're from, I think, Seattle's baking company. And that's the only brand I will buy because they're delicious and all the other bread sucks. And they're great. I use them for fish sandwiches and for salmon burgers, and I do the sweet potato sandwiches on them, and a sandwich is just not as exciting if I can't have it on this delicious ciabatta bread. But, you know, we're not going to the store all the time, and I have this bread maker now, and I'm thinking, maybe I can make it work. You know, it's got a dough cycle on it. You don't have to bake the bread inside it. You could just use it to knead and prove everything. So that is a possibility. I'm surveying my options for whole wheat bread. You know, I think I'm not going to do it right now. I just don't have it in me. I can feel sweat dripping down myself. I think I'm just going to sit down. I know all I would have to do. I literally have a bread machine. All I would have to do is just measures and stuff, and then put it in, and then turn it on. Maybe I'll talk myself into it. Give it a minute. Oh, have you seen the new cauldron model? Looks like a Kyrian hot tub to me. I don't know that I have. I have used cauldrons on beta in dungeons because they had them on the Flascator. But I thought it looked like the old cauldron model. Maybe they hadn't updated it yet at that time. Watch them surprise us with an Afterlives Maw next week with a pre-patch date? Maybe. I mean, it would be a surprise because they did the whole teaser trailer and the whole, this is the release schedule of the Afterlives thing, so it would be very out of left field for them to just give us another one. However, one way or another, we're eventually going to find out when pre-patch is, because if they just never tell us when it's going to be, eventually it'll happen, right? Like, it's sometime between tomorrow and October the 26th. And, you know, every day that goes by is a narrower and narrower window. Brioche also bomb for French toast. That does sound good. I had voodoo donuts for the first time since it opened in my area. I had to take a 3-hour sugar crash nap afterwards. No regrets. There you go. I do like bread. The whole wheat bread is still good, a little less exciting. We just finished a loaf. I had made a cinnamon raisin bread, and that was delightful. It was very good. That one day pre-patch. I'm just really interested to see if they're ever going to tell us a date or if it's just going to be really short notice. Does anything smell better than fresh baked bread? No, I don't know if it does. I think you're right. If I was going to do this, I would be doing, what do they want me to do? They do at the very least have in this ingredients, they have the weights all measured out, but I have to be extra careful to watch for typos after the whole salt incident and just kind of make sure it makes sense compared to what it is that they wanted. Oh, man. Also, it seems that the cup indicator can't be great. Well, actually, no, it seems fine. It seems fine. Just be real careful. So I would need, like, some oil, some water, some flour, some salt, some brown sugar. Oh, yeah, I wanted milk powder, and I don't have any milk powder. I've had a couple of different bread recipes request dry milk, and I used to buy it just to put in bread, but I haven't done that for a while. It's hard to find around here. The pre-patch is long enough where I have time to get the new pet and the 34 slot bags. I thought that the bag, maybe I'm just misremembering. I think all the Shadowlands news is mixing together in my head. I thought the bag dropped from Artificer Zymox, who is one of the Castle Nathria bosses. But maybe there's a separate bag. Or maybe there's a 34 in the pre-patch and a 32 in the raid. I don't know. I've kind of lost my own personal enthusiasm for bigger bags in WoW. I think ever since I got, even before deep sea bags, ever since I got like Silkweaves and Legion, my bags haven't filled in a long time unless I just had run 7 dungeons in a row and not emptied them. The raid 32 slot? I see, I gotcha. Bag from a pre-patch boss, interesting. Yeah, I should look into that stuff again. It's going to depend on how my time's doing, but I would like to do a pre-patch preview. They want to do the invasion. I assume it wouldn't be longer than a week before the forums explode. How do you feel about Twitch forcing ads? It is bad and I don't like it. Need hex weaves even on fresh alts? Yeah, I feel like that's fair. You want at least 20-ish slots, but I think what it was for me is auto vendor and how easy it makes it to clear room back out of my bags. I don't feel the need, like it's so easy. Also the fact that I have vendor mounts that anywhere I can now just kind of pop up on it, open the vendor window, all the stuff is gone, and then you're just moving about your day. It's just nice and fast. Hey Hazel, did you see Taliesin had his brother play the new Exile's Reach? Interesting and funny. I didn't see that. That's cool. Do all right with bag space. Long mog runs are the first weeks of 8.2. 8.2 was a bag travesty. Between Mechagon and Najatar in the same patch, that was kind of rude. There was so much stuff. Oh, yeah, okay. I have like 8 minutes and they're going to have to cool for a while. I'm going to get some bread started just because, you know, just to. Do I need any extra dishes? Usually I use that cup. It'll be fine, I don't need it. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab my scale back. I'm gonna need that. And I'm going to make sure that my paddle is correctly installed in the bread tin. So if you've never seen a bread maker before, this is what the pan looks like. It makes a very vertical loaf of bread. For the last one, we actually flipped the bread on its side and we're slicing slices off this way because that was like a more reasonable slice of bread than like the super tall one. Oh, the cake is starting to smell really good. And then there's the paddle, which last time I kind of forgot to put in before I started, but here, remember this time. And get the paddle in there. This goes in, and then the idea is that after you get that seated properly, you do liquids first. So I need specifically 9.2 ounces of water, and I'm going to measure that just with the scale, I think is the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to grab like a little bowl, probably, the only bowl that I have handy left, and I'm going to turn that back on, and I'm going to switch it over to ounces, and I could probably just grab that actually from the filter. We have like an extra large Brita that I like because I refill my water bottle constantly. Okay, so I'm going for 9.2 of water-ish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.1. Ah, too much, 9.5, too much. Sometimes fine-tuning it with water is a little harder than fine-tuning it with flour. 9.3, that's close enough. And then that comes in here, and it's kind of tricky because you kind of want to not get any ingredients outside of it. Okay, 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm just going to use the straight vegetable oil. Nice and easy. I had tablespoons. I had them before, I shall need them again. Also, we're going to need to, oh, that's right, I have a scoop over here. We're going to need to crack open a bottle of wine, actually. The filling recipe for this, the cake involves raspberries, wine, and sugar. and it wants just a tablespoon of port. And of course we had to go buy a whole bottle of it. So I hope it's good. I'm probably having wine tonight. All right, 1 tablespoon, 2nd tablespoon. And then we're going to go in with probably salt next, preferably not 4 teaspoons. 7 grams of salt, so we're talking like, I don't know, I'll just measure that out. That's easy enough. Do one of these guys. If you don't have a kitchen scale, you gotta do it. They're not expensive, and they are life-changing when it comes to baking and stuff like that. It is just so handy to be able to know that if this recipe doesn't work out, it is not because I mismeasured. So I'm going for 7 grams, which still feels like a lot of salt. I mean, it's no 4 teaspoons. 7. But it does say it's less than the 10 grams that it wants for the 2-pound loaf. So yeah, we'll do that. It should be somewhat salty. The last loaf was edible. It was just kind of a lot. We're down to 4 minutes over here. When that goes off, it might need another 5 or 6, but we'll test it with the toothpick to see. Killian Hunt, thank you very much for the brand new sub. Also the Umbrella Boy for the brand new sub. Thank you. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. And Silvermere with a brand new sub. Thank you very much. I don't think I've ever cooked with alcohol. Usually if you're cooking with alcohol, the actual alcohol itself will cook off. So your final result will not be alcoholic, and it's there to add kind of a flavor. It's kind of a cooking wine situation. But in this case, and in the case of like a tiramisu or something, where you're not heating up the product after you add the alcohol, it's still going to be there. It'll be just like a little bit of a kick. I think you could probably still serve this to somebody young. It's not like it's going to be, it's like a tablespoon of the whole cake. It's not very much. Okay, now going in with the brown sugar, 2 tablespoons. And with this, I feel safe about being a little less specific because, I don't know, I'm not worried about it. I guess I do have the little dishy thing. So I will just weigh that out. I was just extolling the virtues of weighing your ingredients. May as well keep going. Port and chocolate cake. It is a white chocolate cake, if that makes any difference to your assessment of it. The phrase delicious chocolate cake doesn't really imply white chocolate, but then again, the icon for WoW's delicious chocolate cake doesn't really imply dark chocolate. I am grabbing 18 grams of brown sugar, which is a surprising amount. Yeah, there we go. So probably more than I used last time. And then what else do I need? Flour and then yeast on top, and then I'm good to turn this bad boy on. I don't see any reason why not. So the flour is going to want me to use 390 grams, just shy of 400 grams of the stuff. I shall use the big bowl. Do you like flavor water? And if so, what do you like? I don't. I just go for regular water. When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I used to put like a little lemon slice or like a piece of fruit or something in my daily water bottle to bring to school just to make it fancier. But the older I got, the more I just found I was fine with the taste of regular water on its own. So I don't bother with it now. I find that most calorie-free water additives that are meant for flavoring just taste really, really aggressively artificial to me. And it's not that I'm against fake things. I put fake sweetener in my tea, but at least the flavor is still tea usually. Sugary tea. Okay, we're going, what did I say? 390 grams of this stuff. It wants me to mix whole wheat and regular flour, and luckily for them, I kind of already did that. 390. Oh, almost. 364. 75. See? This is so much easier than trying to, like, level off cups. Also fun. Who doesn't want to shake a giant box of flour? There we go. That'll do. The trick here is to get this into the tin. Well, maybe that's when I should... Oh, yeah, I was going to show you guys my funnels. Actually, before I get too carried away, it's time to test the cake. I'm going to grab my toothpick, and I'm going to grab my oven mitt, and I'm going to just go stab them and see if they need any more time. So don't mind me. Ooh, they look good. They smell good. That one, definitely not done. Definitely not done. There's a lot of sugar there. They're kind of browning on the edges a bit. I'm going to say another like 3 minutes based on that, because that, like, you could feel the jiggliness of the center, and also it completely coated the toothpick. So that's not done yet. Baoist, thank you very much for the brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. So yeah, I was gonna see if maybe, this seems like a bad idea. These are my funnels. They seem like they are somewhat similar in size. I suppose the small one is a little smaller than the big one, but they're all, like, the actual outputs of them are not meaningfully different. And usually when I'm choosing a funnel size, I'm not worried about the top of the funnel. I'm worried about whether the bottom is small enough to fit into, like, the jar or whatever, the tin that I'm funneling into. Am I going to do this? I mean, it does kind of fit in the top of the bread tin. Yeah, maybe. Sure. No, that's dumb. I'm not going to do that. It's going to take forever and just make a big mess while I'm trying to get it all in there. All I need to do is float this flour on top of the water in here and carefully hold the bowl while I do it. You're not going to get to see this bread finish on stream. It's going to take about 3 hours to make, but the delightful thing is I don't have to do anything. I just get to come back in 3 hours and be like, wow, bread, look at that. It's magic. There has got to be a better way, but I'm good for now. This is fine. Okay. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got like a nice layer of flour over the top, and then I'm going to add in my yeast. It wants me to do a teaspoon, which I can do. I was so lucky I was able to find like a nice big bag of yeast online, and I was kind of skeptical that it would be alive, but it was, and it worked great. Couldn't ask for better yeast. I am looking for my spoons again. Ah, here they are. Quirk TV, thanks for the brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Hazel, did the air quality get any better? Marginally. We went from like a 400, 350-ish. I think we're down closer to 300 now. It's still really bad. If you look at maps, it almost looks like the really gross part of it just parked right over Portland. It doesn't seem to want to move. But hopefully the next couple of days, fingers crossed, gets better. We still haven't seen any rain here, but it's supposed to start raining like today or tomorrow, I hope. Okay, so there's my teaspoon of yeast. And problem solved. I can go back in the fridge. I'm going to plug this in and start it up. It's kind of like having like a little alien just living, incubating. Oh gosh, discordant beeps. Like a little alien incubating on your counter. Because it just kind of, sometimes it's doing things and sometimes it's not. And it's just kind of, you know, living its life. Okay, so that was my timer for the cake. So I'm going to stab them again. Additional cake stabbing. See how we do. That feels better. And that one came out clean. And that one came out clean. Perfect. Okay, I'm taking those out. And it wanted me to let them cool for 10 minutes in the pans before I tip them out. One of them's a little lopsided, and the other one is pretty flat across the top, so I will probably use the even one for the, well, depends on how structurally stable I want it to be. Doesn't really matter. We're only stacking 2 cakes on top of each other. It's not like we're building a tower over here. I've made mistakes. I just want to put them up on trays. That's all I want. There we go. And then clean up some space. I'll just set a 10-minute timer so that I can keep an eye on how long that's chilling. And I'm going to put some stuff away and clean up some dishes. You can just kind of scooch back over there. I wonder if I can get a, no, I can't. I was going to say, I wonder if I can get an angle where you guys can look inside of it, because it's so fun to just watch it be like, wow, it already, you know, got the dough to come together. I am not vegan, no. Why do I hear a wow crafting sound? It's got just like a 3-hour channel time, but at the end of it, it spits out bread. It's great. Okay, so we can put the flour away, clean up, and then once we're convinced that the cake cooling is well underway, I guess I can, well, turn that fan on low. Once we think the cake cooling is well underway, we can start to make the filling, and then probably the frosting last. But we can't really start assembling anything until those are much cooler, so it's going to be a little bit. All good. I can have a second cup of tea. Oh, I have another thing I can show you too, but I'll do the dishes first. We got lots of time. We're going to be here a while. Will she ever do a baking stream featuring Mr. Nutty? I wouldn't hold your breath for it. We have no immediate plans to turn him into a character in my content. It's just kind of nice to have some of us have some privacy. Does the recipe include hazelnuts? It doesn't. That would be a bad thing for poor Mr. Nutty. My spouse has allergies. What is the noise? That's the bread maker. That's the little bread making alien over there. It's currently mixing and kneading my bread. It's in knead cycle 1. I was talking to my Nana. I forgot to tell her that I got a bread machine. I wondered if she'd be proud or disappointed in me. I think she had one. How's Oregon? I'm in NorCal, thinking about moving there. Overall, usually very nice. Right now, bad idea, don't do it. We're suffering from some unpleasant air quality during this particular crisis, but usually it's great. Although I think the Oregonian thing to say is no, don't come here. I think there's like a general, at least on Oregon-related like forums and online places, there is a general resentment for specifically Californians moving north. People think they're driving housing prices up or something. I can't complain too much. I moved here too. I didn't grow up here. Okay. Throw this one away. Or not throw it away, but move it to put it away. That's the better verb. And then we're going to get the stand mixers rolling at some point. Yeah, entire West Coast, not too hot. You got a point. We met Mr. Nutty's hand-petted doggo. They're moving out because of rent pricing. My Oregon, don't touch. Why are they in California? I think it's just because it's adjacent and because people, I don't know, move north because it's awesome here. Entirely too hot. Is California, California is generally warm. Whenever I went to South Cal, which was always kind of like spring or fall, you know, I went once in April, I went another time or two in November, like BlizzCon time. It's weird that they don't do seasons. I'm already so ready for fall. Sometime like 2 days ago or so, it clicked in me and I was like, I want chili, I want mist, I want cardigans, I want scarves, I want fluffy socks, I want, I was going to say hot cups of tea, but I drink hot cups of tea regardless all the time anyways. But I'm so ready to just bundle up and get all comfy. I mean, I'm already comfy, but there's just some, I'm just ready for colder weather. And we have some, I just can't open my windows just yet. Comfy blankets, exactly. I want to wear all my sweaters. I love my sweaters. Where did you buy this apron? I got it off of Etsy. It was like 5 years ago and the seller no longer exists on Etsy, but I imagine you could find one somewhere. Blizzard doesn't sell them though. This was a custom made by the guy. He didn't make it specifically for me. So Colin, anywhere inland gets really hot in the summer. North Cal has seasons and can get chilly in the winter. Sierras get a lot of snow in a good year. I wonder if I would like North Cal. I don't think I have any reason to really live there. The nice thing about doing content creation for a living is that I can work from anywhere with an internet connection, so there's no really strong reason for me to, you know, I don't need to live in LA or New York or anything like that. I can kind of live anywhere that's cheap and comfy, and I like it. So I don't think I would move there on purpose, but it does seem nice enough. I think I would like it better than South Cal. The dream is I just like the Pacific Northwest. I like it in Oregon. I would like it in Washington. I liked it in BC. I would love to stay in those 3 state/provinces for my life would be great. There's nothing anywhere else that's really selling me on the concept. I grew up in a desert. All we had was 10 months of summer and then a couple months of fall. Yeah, we used to have not much of a summer growing up. We had summer. Don't get me wrong. There was summer. It was just shorter than it is around here, and we would get like 1 or 2 30-degree days, which would be like 80. And on that day, you go to the lake, and everybody's going swimming because it's like the one hot day of the summer. But I didn't really mind that. For the most part, it was just really nice. The area here was weather. I just, I don't know, I like the changing seasons. It kind of helps me remember that time is real. I think that the speed of watching seasons slip by helps me stay a little grounded. I feel like I would get kind of out of touch with like where I am in my life in a seasonless vortex of South Cal. Baby Corn, thank you very much for the 300 bits. Appreciate it. Live in the deep south. It's been in the 90s here. Insane humidity. Would not recommend. Yeah, I like it where I am. You know, gross air and all. Hopefully it goes away soon. I'm looking forward. Like, imagine opening a window. I was fantasizing about that earlier. Like opening a window or going for a walk. Gosh, having a picnic. Dang. I fondly remember 6-week summers back in Vancouver. A lot nicer than living in Satan's underwear during summer months in Australia. Do you find that in Australia, because it's the southern hemisphere, obviously your seasons are reversed, so while most of the Western world is doing their winter, you're doing their summer. Do you find that that kind of reduces the online understanding, you know? That, does it make you feel like you can't complain about the heat as much because everybody else is sipping on hot cocoa? Watching from London, I'm ashamed to admit that I didn't realize till today that not everyone has the same seasons. I mean, for the most part, yeah, it just depends on where you live. The neat thing is once you start going really far up north and you start getting not only different seasons, but different day lengths, like dramatically different day lengths depending on the season. You get all the way up into like the Yukon or Alaska, and you have winters where the sun is only up for like 4 hours a day, but then in the summer, the nighttime is only for like 4 hours a day, and it goes back and forth every year. That, I think, would be a bit dramatic. I do remember very short days in the winter, but short just meant the sun would come up at like 8:30. It would, like, dawn would be at like 8:30, and then the sun would start to go down around 4 in the shortest time of the year. And that was like a little depressing, but at least it was still a day. You were just usually at school. Okay, so I think I can probably tip these out of their tins now. They've kind of pulled back away from the edges of the tin, and the tops have collapsed in a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that because we're going to ice over top of that anyways. I will grab my mitts and then show you what I'm talking about. Turn that off. I always complain about the heat. Summer here can get up to 42, see? Yeah, at that point, I totally agree. You just stay inside. That's my new form of comfort is whenever it's like just hazardously cold or hot or stormy or fiery or smoky or whatever on earth is going on outside, you just stay in and play WoW. As long as you've got internet, you're good. So the top fell in a little bit, but you can see it kind of pulling away from the pan. I bet this is going to be quite easy to get to unstick. Now that I've said that, I've jinxed it, but I'm going to... How hot is this at this point? I'm going to see if I can tip these out. I'm just going to run the spatula around the edge just to kind of unseal it there, because the bottom of it, they're also very flat. This is going to be a very short, flat cake. Wide, short, flat, but delicious. Absolutely delightful, I bet. Okay. So I'm going to flip it. Good. And I'll do the same thing over here. Flip it. Good. Fell right out of there. Almost a little too fast. I was worried it was going to fall like one side first in a way that would... Oh no, I broke one of them. Oops. That's okay. There's nothing that you can't stick back together on a plate. Playing during Wintervale when it's like 40 Celsius is a thing. Oh man. Yeah, as soon as you get up above about 35 Celsius, it's just not, nobody's having fun anymore. That's when you stop, you know, being like, yeah, summer, and you go, well, I hope somebody's checked in on Grandma. Let's see, now I want to go bake. an excellent hobby to have. Hazel, are you from NA or EU? NA. I am from Canada, from West Coast Canada. I'm from Vancouver Island, and I'm living West Coast America. I didn't move very far. It's the largest amount of donation you'd be comfy with. Maybe someone will win the lottery and want to donate because of your cheery attitude. As sweet of a thought as that is, I think that any amount of money that somebody wants to donate that much belongs at like a charity, right? Like I appreciate people supporting the content, but like you hit it on the head with the comfy verb. There's certain sizes of donations where you're like, well, I really hope that everybody's clear on both what I'm doing and what I'm not doing and what the expectations are, because sometimes somebody will try to give you a lot of money and then ask you for something that you don't offer and say, well, I paid for it, even though you never offered that in the first place, and that can kind of be an awkward situation. Have you updated your Apple Watch? I haven't. I did my iPad. I did my phone. Actually, I was having a great time on my phone because, which is unusual for me, but usually on my desktop, I am somebody that hates having desktop icons. If you look at my desktop, it's basically one recycle bin icon, and the rest of it is completely blank, and I just launch apps either from my taskbar at the bottom, or I will just type them in the start bar on Windows 10 to launch them. I am a type to launch kind of person. I don't want icons all the time. I just want to launch it by typing it. And they finally, with the phone, for the longest time, I had all of my icons. I had them in folders. I had them like, squirreled away on other screens. And now, with this app library, not only does it automatically sort of like make my folders for me, but I can type to launch at the top of it. It's excellent. So I just have the one home screen. I just picked a battery widget and then a fitness one, and then just like a couple of buttons that I use a little more often. And aside from that, the rest of it's all in the library, and it's so much better. And then I opened up the iPad after updating it and was like, I'm going to do the same thing. So I start deleting apps, assuming they're going to go to the app library. And then I found out that's an iOS thing, not an iPadOS thing. Yeah, Stream's not sponsored by Apple. I just use a lot of their stuff. But I haven't done the watch yet. I want to try the fitness thing, but I can't. I could maybe do the yoga. We just don't have a lot of space here, and we also have downstairs neighbors. So I'm disinclined to do any exercise that involves any kind of stepping or jumping or like moving of the feet at all, because it makes noise for downstairs. The stream is sponsored by WoW Cake. iPhone update was so good. I'm usually very ambivalent about iOS updates because I don't use my phone for that much, so usually it's not making my life better, but I like that one let me kind of clean things up a little bit. Ring Fit stream. Desk cycle is the answer. I swear by mine, gimmicky as it sounds. A desk cycle. A desk cycle. Dang. I'm usually perfectly happy with my walks, and I've just been trying to do a little bit more strength training, at least before the air quality fell off the cliff. I'm usually just happy with walking the dog and then doing like a little bit of yoga or some body weight exercises, but I'm interested to see anything else. Tips for staying healthy when binging on WoW, eating or otherwise. Keep water on your desk all the time. I go through so much water just by having it handy with a water bottle on my desk while I'm playing WoW. And then healthy snacks are good, the things you'll snack on are the things that you have handy. So like if you slice up some carrots and some celery, or maybe you like chop up an apple and throw it in a bowl with a fork, and just have it on your desk. When you know you're inclined to be hungry, then while maybe you would prefer to eat something unhealthy, if you already have the fruit and veggies on your desk and they're already sliced, like it's right there, right? That works for me. Hydration, very important. Also stops you from sitting down for too long, because eventually you're going to have to get up. What lipstick are you wearing? It is one of the Sephora house brand ones. I don't know the shade name. It's not coming across very well in the camera. It's definitely lighter than this in real life. I wanted it to be purple to match this, but it's not quite looking right. I used to keep a 5-gallon office cooler water tank on the floor with a 3-foot straw. That's the life. You guys can hear Mr. Nutty's keyboard. He is a fast typer for sure. Okay, so those are still cooling. They're going to be a while. This is proving, although that's irrelevant to the stream. I guess I can put this away and really read through what my plan is. I'm going to figure out what my plan is for what's next, because what I have cream in my fridge, and then I have a separate bowl that is cream that has had white chocolate melted into it. So those things exist, and I have them. Oh, I lost my page. There we go. So what they want me to do is once we're ready for those once I feel like those are a little bit cooler, to prepare the frosting, they want me to whip the white chocolate cream with an electric mixer for a couple of minutes, and in a separate bowl whip the other cup of cream, and then fold it into the first one so that I have one big bowl of whipped cream that holds its shape. Take care not to overmix. I'm going to set aside some of it for filling, divide the remainder into half, and in one half mix green food coloring. And then leave the other half white, because like the cake is supposed to be green on top and then white elsewise with a pink stripe in the middle. It's just the way they made the icon. I don't know if I have green food coloring, but I am going to check. Let's see. Oh, I had some bits from Jazz Raven recently. Thank you very much. Sorry I missed that. And then Luxio with a 3-month resub. Hi, Hazel. Happy 3 months. Cheers. Take a walk every couple of days to ease the guilt from eating the cake works too. I can't take walks right now, and it's breaking my heart. We can't be exercising outside until the air gets better. Daughter would like to know how many tattoos you have. I have 3. I have this arm. I'm considering this to be 1 tattoo once it's started, but left arm, right arm, and then I have another one on the back of my shoulder. Use your hair. Oh, can you use green hair dye? Unrecommended to put into food. Not usually edible. Where did I keep it? Did I put it down here? Nope, that's my gigantic container of cornstarch. It's about time for me to redo my kitchen cabinets. Marie Kondo promised me that once I organized everything, it would stay organized forever. And I think she just believes in me a little too much. I think I might need to do touch-ups here and there. So definitely not there. But I know I have some. I don't know if I have the right colors, but I know I have some colors. It's just a matter of where. What is that? Oh, I have trail mix. I have tea. Oh, I'm tired. I'm gonna think. Where would I have left it? Where can I buy pumpkin spice at a normal grocery store? So maybe, but what I would do is I would look up pumpkin pie recipes. And usually when people say pumpkin spice, what they mean is the spices used in pumpkin pie. So your nutmeg, your cinnamon, maybe cardamom, but like warm kind of wintry spices. So I would just look up some pumpkin pie recipes and find the common denominator spices, and those are what you're looking for at the grocery store. If you have yellow and blue, you can make green. I mean, right now I have nothing. I mean, I have wine. Where would I have put them? Were they in here? There's olives. There's donut molds. There's coconut milk. There's salmon. We don't want to put that in the cake. There's coffee. I got vermicelli. I got boba. I already looked here, but maybe I didn't look good enough. This is normal. Like, this is where the sprinkles are. You'd think I would put the food coloring like sprinkle adjacent. That's just taco. Hey, it was under the taco seasoning. What a dumb place to put it. Okay. So, as it turns out, sell by. Is my food coloring expired? That's not a thing, is it? It's just water and propylene glycol and FD&C red number 3 and FD&C blue number 1 and propylparaben, and it's not much out of date. I have green. Oh, eat the olives, drink the wine, much easier. I just hear the word and I start craving boba. You should get some to make at home. It's actually not that hard. I got this stuff online. They just arrive like dry in a little thing, and you make them basically like pasta. You just boil them in water for a couple of minutes, and then you turn the heat off and then simmer them for another couple of minutes, and then you just, I usually let them rest in cold water, or maybe I'll make a syrup for them. But it's not that hard to make bubble tea at home. I like doing it with cold brewed tea. I'll cold brew some iced tea, which just means putting a pot of tea and some tea leaves like in the fridge overnight. And that works pretty good. Jazz Raven, thanks for the additional bits. Appreciate it. My friend's mom used to always make it, but they'd say it takes hours. So I should be clear, there is probably a more proper and true way to make it that does take hours, but I've never been able to tell the difference between those ones and the ones that I would get at a typical bubble tea place. They're required to print a date on the front. I see. Yeah, no, it'll be fine. I'm not throwing up my food coloring. Also, clearly I don't color enough food because these are all almost full. Actually, well, the green is full. I bet you I've used more of the pink. I love making things pink. Yeah, pink has definitely been used at a higher rate than the green because it's just an excellent color. Forever thought it was bubble tea instead of bubba tea. I mean, it is, isn't it? I mean, it's really whatever people want to call it. There's bubble tea, and then people also call the tapioca pearls boba, so you might hear boba tea. All of them are fine. Any of those things, and somebody will know what you're talking about. Has Hazel ever done ranking streams? What do you mean, like ranking? Like, what do you mean? Probably not, because I don't know what you mean. Pink is great. I'm tempted to make this pink, but because I have green, I'm probably going to do the green. I'm just going to, like, swoosh this back together. I kind of want to, like, pinch off a piece and just eat it to find out if the cake is good, but I'm resisting. I'm resisting the urge. That is cooling. It's not cooling super fast. I guess I could wrap them and put them in the fridge, but I'll just let them keep cooling on the counter. For the filling, what they want me to do is combine all of the ingredients in a bowl and until you have a thick paste and gently fold in the reserved frosting. So I can basically combine raspberry sugar with some port in a bowl just to get that started. I may as well. Actually, my raspberries are already in kind of a bowl situation, so I'm probably just going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar and some wine in here and just start mashing it up and see how we do. It's a little wet already. I wonder if I should pour off some of the liquid. Maybe not. They were frozen like this. I am going to be adding, you know what, I'm not going to pour off the liquid because I'm omitting the rose water. So there's going to be at least like a teaspoon of liquid that I'm not throwing in there. So I'm just going to have it, I'm just going to call it fine. So I need sugar. I need another 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm actually getting a little low. I'm going to have to get some more at some point. This cupboard fits everything, but you have to kind of Tetris it around corners sometimes. Ghost towel. Here you go. I was once upon a time very frustrated with these towels because they have like a lovely little sort of tea kettle image, but it's printed on the center third. And usually I fold towels in half to hang them up, and that only shows half of the teapot, which it won't do. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Fold it into thirds before I hang it up? And it turns out the answer is yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I thought that was too fussy at the time, but as it turns out, it's not that hard, and it just kind of makes me happy to have the design outwards. I don't know why it's important, but it's nice. This food a DPS increase. Fun fact, the original delicious chocolate cake, which you can still craft, it takes Mage Royal and Stormwind Tawny and eggs and cold milk, some other stuff I think, gives you a buff called Happy about how you just ate cake. It's just like a flavor buff that your character gets. I think it was one of the earlier instances of buffs that didn't do anything but just had fun text on them, and people for quite some time were trying to figure out if it made you like level faster or something, if there was any other bonus on this particular buff. Okay, so raspberry sugar and then a tablespoon of the wine, so may as well crack that open. I don't know anything about wine really, so I couldn't tell you if it's a good one. I don't think you want it to be too good because I'm just putting it in a cake, but we are going to have to drink the rest of it. It says it's a California port. It's an exceptional ruby port with a superbly rich, full-bodied character, and I'll have to take their word for it because I don't know wine. I'm not against drinking wine, I'm just not educated about it. It smells like wine. You know, wine kind of reminds me of having friends over. We used to serve wine with like dinner. If we were having somebody over, we would all have dinner and wine. I would cook. I would be like, I'm an adult. This is my dinner party. Let me pour you a glass of wine. And then we would all play Mario Kart. I do miss that. I wonder if we'll ever do that again. It's probably feasible eventually to have like 1 or 2 people over. I've been trying to think in my mind of like what parts of my life will eventually go back to normal and what sort of things are just going to be... Like, I can't really imagine eating indoors in a restaurant. Like, sure, maybe it'll become safer, but I don't know if it'll ever become safe enough to be worth it when I can just eat outside or eat at home. I don't know if I'm ever going to reach a point where I just want to eat inside so badly that I'm willing to put up with any amount of risk for it. All right, so we're going to add a tablespoon of this. which kind of came out with like a really satisfying sound. And then I lost my lid. Oh, it's over there. I'm craving spider kebabs. Waiting for Hazel to drink from the bottle. Not today. Not today. Not much of a on-stream drinker myself. Ugh, I need my spoon back. I gotta mix this. Oh, the raspberry with the wine actually smells amazing. Ooh. Gosh, I'm so excited about Shadowlands. Maybe I'll just have evenings where I'll just sit on Discord and drink wine and play Shadowlands. That sounds really fun. I miss going to concerts. Whole bottle for 1 tablespoon. Hate that. Yeah, it'll get consumed at some point, I'm sure. This says paste, but it's definitely quite liquid. I should have poured off some of that extra liquid. Oh well, what do you do? I suspect that a lot of normal things in the past will be permanently changed. That's kind of my feeling too. After Corona seems like a distant future. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the way it was. I just, like after people talk about how air travel was completely different before 9/11 and how it never really went all the way back. I think this is one of those things that life's just different now. I always pay attention to who's close and what's safe to touch. Yeah. Things are going to be different. Most things are going to be worse. Some things will be better. Mostly things will just be different. This smells amazing. I'm really glad that you guys made me try this. I never would have tried this on my own. Way too much of a pain in the butt. Despite the problems and the struggle it's caused, can you imagine the pandemic pre-internet or when the internet was slow? Yeah, I was thinking about that, especially like April and May, like early in lockdown. Like, sure we have to stay inside, but at least we have, Netflix and Animal Crossing and World of Warcraft and like just the internet, right? Like I can't imagine, even like sure you could have read books and whatever. I might have been more productive. Maybe I would have like written something, started writing poetry or a novel or something if I had gone into lockdown without the internet. Because like sure you can read all the books you have in your house, but you can't go to the library and get any more, so you're kind of stuck with what you got. Work is probably going to continue remote from now on. That I think is a good thing. If we can overall have less people have to commute, then that's better for those people. It's better for the roads. It's better for traffic, better for the environment. Why not? Back on board. Kindle is the library now. Speaking of books, actually, yesterday I just started reading Shadows Rising. I'm only like 1 chapter in. I just started it last night. I'm going to see if I can, I don't know how, I want to get some of the liquid out of this, but not all of the liquid. And I don't want to really lose the seeds. I feel like getting those stuck in my teeth is going to be an important part of this experience. I'm just going to kind of use my spoon to siphon a little bit of it off. This is really just more for fun. I'm just keeping myself busy more than anything. Wow, that's a real punch in the mouth. Oh my gosh. That's really sweet and very good. I get why they want it in the cake now. Ooh! It's just like sour, but also sweet, but also alcohol, but also sweet, but also berries. Yeah, I could strain it. I think this will be fine. I think once it's gonna like be in between the cakes. The cake's gonna absorb some of it, and I think that's gonna be good. Okay, so that's that. These are coming down a little bit. I'm gonna give it another. I'm gonna wrap them in plastic and slap them in the freezer. Because waiting at this point in my life just feels like I'm gonna be waiting too long, and I don't want to jump the gun and try to do them too early. I think I would rather. I'm just gonna freeze them, or not freeze them, but they're gonna start to chill in the freezer, and that will also firm them up a little bit just for the sake of icing them. And also this one that's split in half will probably hold together better when it's frozen, or at least when it's colder, right? So I'm gonna, it's so floppy, it has no stability of its own. Like I'm just gonna break it further if I try to move it too much. Oh, kneading time again. So I'm just gonna slap that right on top of a frozen pizza, and then I'm gonna put the other one on the bottom shelf. Actually, my freezer has very little in it right now, which I'm really satisfied by. I used to be kind of frustrated that I would end up with like just old leftovers and ingredients that I didn't know how old they were in my freezer. And at this point I have things to a point where I know everything that's in there and I know how long it's been in there, and I have some semblance of a plan for when we're going to eat it, which is nice because it actually leaves room so that when you get things you don't have to figure out how to Tetris them in quite as dramatically. I'm doing experimental cake flipping using double trays to try to wrap this without breaking it. This top one seemed to stay in better shape for the most part. And then I'm gonna flip them again. It's very staticky up here. Okay. So yeah, they're gonna go on different shelves so that they are not sharing heat with each other. And that should help bring those down. I'm gonna leave them there for like 15 minutes or so. And then sometime between now and the end of that 15 minutes, I'm going to start mixing up the frosting. And then we'll be ready to kind of start assembling. Don't strain it. Yeah, I think the extra moisture will be good. I've made cakes in the past that involve like injecting different fluids and syrups into the cake itself, so I think the cake it'll absorb it. It'll be fine. The books, are they standalone? I would say that if you play WoW and you're at least a little familiar with the main characters, then you'll have a good understanding of what's going on. I don't know if there's like a direct prequel, because each of the WoW books kind of plops you into the action at a different point in history. They don't directly follow each other always. I think you should be fine. I have definitely been Googling the occasional character when they pop up if they seem important and I don't really remember what their deal is. And then you find like a WoW wiki page where you're like, wow, this character has been 9 different things across like all of the different expansions. I have not meaningfully played League of Legends. I think I tried it, like the intro, but I haven't really properly played it. I have Stormrage, but I haven't read it yet. I didn't get into the WoW books until the more recent ones. I think the first one that I got was The Shattering before Cataclysm, because I was over the moon excited about Cataclysm, and I just wanted anything to do or consume or, you know, to help me indulge in my Cata hype. So I bought a physical hard copy of The Shattering, and that was perfectly fine. Read that, and that was great. It scratched my itch. And then I didn't get another one until, I think, Before the Storm, which I now have both digitally and in hard copy. And that one I really liked. That was a very good read. And then I'm only a little bit into this first one, into the new one. Oh no, I did read War Crimes too. I read War Crimes as well, so I think that must have been after Shattering, before the Storm. Yeah. Thrall is a multi-occupational orc. he does all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of like rotate you so you can just kind of do your bread thing out of the way over there. And then we're gonna be whipping cream here, and we're gonna be whipping cream there, and generally speaking, okay. So I'm gonna need cream. Am I starting this just yet? Maybe not. Maybe I'll clean up my stove. This is a right mess. That's no good. He's gonna have to start fist waving if he loses his axe again. Oh man. I think that the Maw intro is really fun. The first thing that we do once Shadowlands comes around, which I still can't believe how soon it is. It's gonna be really fun. Reading an early draft of Dracula? That's kind of cool. I read the published version pretty recently, like 2 or 3 books ago. I reread original Dracula, but I've never heard of an earlier draft available. I wonder how it's different. Yeah, classes do seem more fluid lore characters. That's absolutely true. The main one that I can think of off the top of my head that really embodies basically just the one class is Jaina. She is very clearly a mage, and she is not really much of anything else. But Sylvanas, Vol'jin, Thrall, Anduin even, like he's a priest. He's kind of a dis-priest, but he's also done some vaguely paladin-y things. Varian was pretty much just a warrior, right? Did Varian ever mess with anything else? Thrall not coming through. Zappy Boy. Yo, Zappy Boy shows up a little bit. I don't know if he's doing anything in Shadows Rising, because like I said, I've only read the first chapter, but I can tell you that he's there. To this day, it makes me so salty when people say Anduin mass rezzed in the BFA cinematic. It was a mass heal. This is a hill I die on. I never thought about it really that much, but I will accept your word on it. Oh, the Icelandic Dracula was only translated in English recently. I see. Interesting. Neat. I miss Varian. I don't think that he's one of the characters that we're going to be seeing again in Shadowlands, but I don't know. I know it's super, super cheesy, but I would be down to see him and Anduin have like a little chat. I feel like Anduin's been through a lot post-Varian, and it would be nice to see them catch up. Oh, it's a different version with different plot. Oh, I see. Huh. All right, we're gonna wipe this down. For a moment, I looked over at that counter and I saw that the mixer, the red stand mixer was not moving, but I could hear the sound of the bread machine doing its thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Something's bugged here. That's not right. I have a sound effect playing without the animation, and then I realized it's from a separate device. I think, well, those have only been in the freezer 5 minutes. I shouldn't rush it. I've always thought Anduin was a paladin. So if you've ever played the Cataclysm intro to the Twilight Highlands, for Alliance specifically, they have you running around Stormwind with Anduin, searching for clues about Twilight cultists and stuff. And he is specifically like whipping out discipline priest bubbles and talking about shields and stuff. And also, I remember there was like a cultist cow. You had to like go sneak through some cows in a farm. I used to do that one every time just to get the portal unlocked back when you needed it to. Oh man. I am not salty, but a tiny bit, just like 5% exasperated that in the Shadowlands intro, our boy Anduin is getting kidnapped again. How many times has that guy gone missing and or been abducted, and we're like, oh man, somebody's got to go get the king? This has got to be at least the third or fourth, right? Like, or perhaps more. I feel like that's the beginning of everything, is like somebody's gone, oh man, who was supposed to be watching Anduin? Jeez, not again. Like, he went missing in the Pandaria intro, didn't he? Or not the Pandaria, Cataclysm intro, like on the boats. Shoot, I'm never going to be able to remember them off the top of my head, but, like, it happens a lot. Alright, so I'm holding this, but I don't need to be. I'm not using that. I am going to need a bowl. Probably this one. Probably a nice big bowl. I find that whenever I'm whipping cream with a hand mixer, it just kind of sprays cream everywhere, and the bigger the bowl, the more of it you can catch, like, actually in the bowl itself. There we go. So, I should get started because I think that it's going to take a while to whip the second half of cream. This is a cup of cream that's been mixed with some amount of ounces of chocolate, white chocolate, and we're going to whip that up second. For now, we're just going to start with this. Oh yeah, that's cooling those cakes down much better. That was the move. That was the move right there. We're not going to like full freeze them, but it will help. And people do freeze cakes. I think that's fairly common if you're making like a big fancy decorated cake, is to freeze it before icing it so that your icing's in good shape. So they wanted me to use a cup of this, and I don't think I have that much, so I'm just going to pour in everything that I have, and we'll whip that, and it'll just have to be fine. That'll do. Gnomes need to implant a tracking device in Anduin. Yeah, but then what if the goblins hack it and then they know where he is? Somebody's always up to something. From what I hear, there's a new Warcraft movie coming out. Will you be seeing it? Oh, yeah. I would need to hear a lot more to be convinced that there actually will be another Warcraft movie, because we were hearing about the first one for like 10 years before it happened. But yeah, if they make another one, I'll go. Well, I will not go see it because I don't see myself in a movie theater ever again, but I will see it on whatever platform I can rent and or stream it to. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking about how nice would it be, you know, if it wasn't COVID, to go to the movies by yourself. I feel like I've never done that. I've eaten at a restaurant by myself, and I usually used to go shopping by myself because I just didn't like dragging people around with me if I could avoid it. But I never went and saw a movie by myself, and that seems like a really nice thing to do, or at least, you know, back in the day. So there's a lot going on with the cream. We've got 2 parts of cream. We're gonna whip one, whip the other one, mix them together, split them up, color one, not color another one, split off another 1/4 cup to put into the filling. There's like a lot going on. I'm just gonna try to do it without messing it up somehow. Actually, I'm gonna turn on maximum mixerage and get the other one mixing in the stand mixer, so it's just gonna be loud for a few minutes. This is the thing that I did before the start of the stream. I just melted the white chocolate into the cream and have that kind of ready to go. It's quite thick. It's a shame you can't see inside this bowl because it's doing that really cute kind of like, you know how you like, if you had like a really long roll of fabric and it would like fold as it falls, it's doing a little foldy thing. I need my spatula though, for sure. I was afraid of that. Alright. That'll have to be close enough. I absolutely dropped chocolate on the floor. I used to go see movies alone a lot before COVID. It was really nice. Going with friends is nice too, just different. Yeah. Whenever we used to do like a movie with friends, more so when I was a teenager, the fun part was always getting either dinner before or after, preferably after so you can talk about the film that you just watched. That was always the best part. Like if you were just going to see the movie with them and then split off after without like having a meal, then it wasn't really worth it anymore. All right. So that's going to whip for a while. And we're gonna keep going over here. Oh, this isn't in properly. There we go. Okay, so it told me to whip the one with chocolate in it until it was fluffy. And it looks pretty fluffy to me. It's also quite hard, but once we get the other cream folded in, I think it's going to be good. Hi, Hazel Reichel, how you doing? All right. I want to read chat, but I can't talk to chat when it's all loud over there. All right. Oh no, we put the bowl back up, and then oh no, we don't need to turn that on. That one's fluffy. I guess it can go on a low speed just to keep me company. I'm trying to get this one to the point that it is soft peaks. It's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. I need my spatula. So that was just telling me that my cakes had probably cooled enough to the point that I could at least start this. So I would say that's not really soft peaks yet. It's almost there. I would do a little tiny bit more, but we're gonna whip it more once it's mixed in with the rest of the cream and chocolate. I'm gonna call that good. So, goodness. So I'm gonna fold this, which is my just whipped cream, into the other one, which is cream with chocolate that's been whipped. I say fold, I'm just kind of putting it in there because I don't want to take the bowl all the way off right now. I'll kind of wiggle the spatula down around in there to see if I can get it started. For the most part, it's gonna kind of incorporate little bit of folding action. They want me to whip it again anyways, so it's not like I'm being too specific. They did say to be careful not to overmix, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. They say until it holds its shape, don't overmix. And it also says a couple of minutes, so this might take a bit. I'm going to see how we look here. It might take some side scraping. I've never melted white chocolate into frosting before. I'm curious how this turns out. Or into whipped cream, rather. I figured it would just be like icing a cake with whipping cream, which she has had me do before, the author of this cookbook. But maybe this will be a little stiffer. Maybe it'll be a little more buttercream-like. So once that is done, we're going to set aside a 1/4 cup and divide into here basically, and then divide the rest of it into half and color half of it green. The proximity of the mic cable to the mixer made me sweat. Yeah. I think it would have to. Yeah, no, you're right. It's probably a bad idea. I don't know. I feel like this is already pretty stiff. I'm gonna take this out of here. Actually, I need to unplug the mixer and just make sure I'm not unplugging my bread maker. I wouldn't want to forget where I am in my cycle. What do you think about the Revendreth animated short? I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. It didn't sell me on joining the Venthyr, but I appreciate the extra background. It made me extra Shadowlands hype for sure. Okay, so yeah, this seems like it's holding the shape pretty well. I don't know if we need to mix it all that much more. I think I'm just going to mix it the rest of the way by hand with this thing just to get it kind of fully incorporated. And then I'll divide part of it out. Probably the glass bowl for the white one. Oh, that's very good. I mean, it's white chocolate and whipped cream, so it's impossible for it to not be good, but it's very good. Okay. There's not a ton of icing over here going on here. So it is going to be a little bit of a naked cake, a little, like, not super, super covered all the way around, but I think that's okay because this icing's pretty sweet, it's pretty rich, so I think having a little bit less of it will be the move. Legit burrito, thank you very much for the bits. Cakes must not be naked terms of service. Oh dear. All right, well these ones are at least cold. I'm gonna dye the rest of the frosting first. So it said a 1/4 cup goes into the filling in the middle. So if I can just grab a 1/4 cup, here it is. I can just scoop some of that out there, plop it in there, approximately, and then take a nice little spoon and mix that up. It's hard to not just eat the frosting. So this is the raspberry sugar, wine, and now a white chocolate whipped cream mixture to fill the cake with. Denkiss, thank you for the 2-month resub. Sounds like a cooking stream. Gotta get all that food ASMR. Well, maybe not the eating ASMR, but mixing ASMR. All right, so that's good. And then I need to separate out about half of this. To have the bottom half be white, and then the top part, which is going to be, I think, a little bit more, and we're going to color this green. So I put my green down over here. So we have icing. I'm just going to start with like a lot because where's the fun in easing it? There we go. If it doesn't stain your tongue, what are you doing? Following you on YouTube for a long, long time. Glad to finally catch you on Twitch. Glad to have you here. So there we go. So far, this particular green seems very neon. It seems very lime colored. I also have lost the rest of them. I was going to say, I do have a little bit of blue actually. So if I want to make it a little less Wicked Witch of the West and a little more teal colored, I could add just like a little tiny, like a drop of blue, I think is what that needs. I'm just trying to make my cake match my hair. What can I say? Just one good drop of blue and see where that gets me. That's the stuff. That's where we're at. I'm sorry that this camera, along with these lights, has such poor color display. I'll have to put pictures on Instagram, or Instagram stories rather. Yeah, it'll look nice. All right. So now we're talking. Yeah, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it. Nice and green. The texture of it doesn't look super smooth from here, but that's fine. I think once I smoosh it down, it'll be good enough, and if it's not, then that's too bad. I never said my cakes had to be gorgeous. It wanted me to reserve a couple of raspberries to top it with, but I didn't do that, and the rest of them are all frozen, so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to assemble this onto a plate, because I don't have like a cake platter. And basically we're just going to do cake, filling, cake, 2/3 of the white frosting, filling on top of the frosting, second cake, remaining white frosting on the sides, top the cake with the green frosting. This is going to be, all right, sounds good. So, here are our cake halves. I don't have a, for this part I think I'll actually go turn on the webcam and like scooch it around to get you guys a nice view, because, you know, I wouldn't say that we're cake decorating. I wouldn't go that far. That's wrong. Let's see. Why is it looking there? Oh, you know what? It never updated. I think the camera disconnected. Oh well. Sorry. No close-up. All right. Oh well. I'm going to put the cracked one on the bottom where it can hide its shame. That seems fine. I split it a little bit. It's my own fault. I wasn't gentle enough when I was taking it out of the pan. But, you know, it's a layer cake. Nobody's gonna know. Actually, everybody's gonna know because I just told them. But it's not gonna matter. And then I'm probably gonna break it more trying to just unwrap it here. There we go. Good. And don't mind me. It was already coming off the edge. I just wanted to try a little bit. How come I don't make cake from scratch more often? I always use box mix cakes because they're just like cheap and easy, but like, that's so good. How come I don't do that? Yo, even if you were just to make this cake and then not bother with like the raspberry rosewater filling and not bother with the cream, like the chilled white chocolate whipped cream frosting, just like that, you can throw buttercream on that and have a fantastic cake. That's the wrong icing. They want me to take this and they want me to have a layer of it going all over and then just down the sides a little bit. It's going to be pretty thin, and that's fine because, like I said, it might be kind of a naked cake or a scantily clad cake. You know, a beach cake, if you will. They wanted me to save some more of it for the edges once I get the second layer in. So that's one layer, and then this is very gloopy, so I'm just going to kind of pour it on and then spread it. I don't want to add so much that like it just kind of shoots at the sides when I plop the second cake on top of it. And I do want it to be kind of started to be absorbed by the cakes themselves. We'll see how that goes. And I want to use most of it, but I'm not going to like make soup because it is, I think, a little thinner. I could have thickened it with like some cornstarch or something, but who's got time for that? Good. And then we do another cake on top of it. And this one came out looking much more, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look that great on this camera, but it looks much nicer in person. I wouldn't say Instagrammable, but like presentable, I say right before I break it. So you're gonna go right down here. Oh, you just gotta plop it, I think. And then the rest of this is supposed to go around the sides, but like I have very little of it left. So I'm just gonna kind of pretend, or I think maybe the green. There's definitely more of the green frosting. That's gonna be more on the sides. I'm just gonna make it look like I tried. This is also the wrong tool for this, but what do you do? Close enough. Green frosting time. Wolfenzyme, thank you very much for the tip. I see the tip. I don't see the message. Hang on. I might be able to pull it up over here if I step away from my screen for just a second. You cannot see me, but you can still hear me. No worries at all. I said YouTube for a while, but I've always heard about your Twitch. I can never really make it. Nice to see you. Sadly, I play to you, but it is what it is. Hope you're having a great day. Also, you had a second $5 tip that said nice to see you on Twitch finally. I think I've dropped by your stream, only when you're grinding mounts. Nice to see you live. Thank you. You lucked into a once a month only stream. That is a cable tie attached to my watch. I do baking streams, but I do them one per month only. So special event, special proc, special stream drop. Well, not drop. That implies that you guys get something. You just get to watch me eat cake. I'm just going to throw all of this on top, and then we'll figure out how to migrate it as we go here. I don't know if it looks like the picture, but it does look like I want to eat it. I just want the green to at least fully cover the top of the cake, if not the sides. I think this was the right amount of frosting. I don't know if I would have wanted too much more because the frosting's so sweet in the first place. It's not going to be the most beautiful cake in the world, but you know, beauty's not everything. Sometimes you just want to be smart or hardworking or delicious. Close enough. present to you. Okay, it looks awful, but it's artisanal. All the cute girls on Pinterest want ugly cakes now, is what I'm hearing. I think I'm really excited about it. I'm probably going to have some, actually. I think I'm going to have a slice. I kind of want to put sprinkles on it. I feel like the top needs something. I know that sprinkles are not canon to the delicious chocolate cake, but they are canon to me wanting to put something on top of this. So I'm feeling purple to kind of match the purple-green color dichotomy I've got going on over here. So I'm just going to, like, get some purple sprinkles on there. Why not? There we go. Cute. We'll see what the slice looks like. I have so many dishes on my counter. All right, I'm just gonna move some of this over here. And then slice a piece of cake or two. It is like 5 in the afternoon, 5 in the evening, which is usually like an hour or so before dinner time, but I'm eating cake anyways because I'm a grown-up and I'm allowed. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna, I don't think I need like a proper knife to slice it, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. They're gonna be not super tall, but it definitely will have the 2 layers. It kind of feels like slicing a pizza just because of how wide but short it is. So this is how we look from the side. You can see the raspberry filling kind of coming out there. I'm just going to plop you just like that because, you know, that doesn't look so bad. I can probably put that in the thumbnail. There we go. And then more. It does ooze a little bit as you slice it, but I bet that'll firm up once it's been in the fridge. Lovely. A lot more homemade looking than the ice cream cake that we had, but I think this might taste better. The ice cream cake was fine, but it was a little basic. Dekronovich, thank you very much for the bits. Your delicious chocolate cake is beautiful. Thanks for sharing your cake evening with us, and thanks, chat, for keeping it real. That totally looks like the game icon. That is actually a fair point, is that the game icon does not depict a perfectly gorgeous cake experience. It shows a cake that is much like this one. Moody, thanks for the bits. All right, I'm gonna drop this one off just so that we both ruined our dinner. And I'm gonna pull up my stool and I'm gonna try this bad boy. Oh, I have high hopes. All the components tasted good, so like what could have gone wrong? Feels good to sit. It looks pretty well baked. Or at least it's cooked through, which is usually what you want. I want to make sure I get both slices plus some icing plus some filling. Oh man. That's really good. That cake has no right to be that moist. Usually when I made homemade cakes from scratch, they would turn out a little bit dry. And I always felt that it was something mysterious that box mix makers were doing to make their cake not dry. But this is, I just made this and it's not dry. You get like just enough white chocolate in the frosting, and then it shows up a little bit in the cake, but it's not like smacking you over the head with it. That's really good. Mm. Does Mr. Nutty lie in the cat bed and sleep until he gets a treat? He has like a job and stuff, you know. He like has a desk in his own life. Cheshire Cat, thanks for the 12-month resub. Mm. Oh man. Usually I'll like just have a little bit and then like wrap up the stream and then go eat the rest later. And which is probably what I should do. But like, I'm really good. Also, I'm a little bit hungry, I think. Okay, I'll finish the rest of that in a minute. Now I want cake. If you guys have the WoW cookbook, and like me, you had been procrastinating making that cake because it has like a lot of steps, you gotta try it at least once. It's really good altogether. And then what you might feel is that after you've made the whole thing, that maybe next time you want to make just parts of it. Like maybe you just make the frosting but put it on something else, or like just the filling and then put it over ice cream or something like that. You don't have to commit to the whole thing every time, but if you can, oh, it's delightful. That's rude. I have a job and a life, and I fall asleep on one of our dog beds. I mean, sometimes the pet beds people get are nicer than some of the people beds. I like the ones that look like couches, but like mini. I kind of want to get something like that for Joker, but he wouldn't use it. I got tattoos in your legs? Nah, those are my leggings. I am out of time for the day. I'm going to wrap this up. I got a lot of dishes to do. I would like to thank you all so much for joining me. This was delightful. I will be back tomorrow afternoon with another WoW stream, and I think we're going to try, keyword being try, but try to finish off the hyper-compressed ocean secret fish farming. I have the nighttime one already, so the rest we should be able to get on stream. We might have a fish goggle party. It should be a good time. Thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.